and always to you are King. Bless and let there be love in our home, the marriage experience ordained by you alone. The marriage experience. Experience ordained by you alone.
Welcome to the Marriage Experience program with Ayakunle and Bosade Santos, where they explore what it means to cultivate a God-centric marriage by delivering realistic and biblical wisdom, pointers, and insights from couples and individuals on the marriage journey. Join them today as they share some insights. Enjoy.
Good evening and welcome to the Marriage Experience program, where real couples have real conversations about real life issues.
Indeed. We're so glad you're with us, whether you tuned in on purpose or you just came across us whilst you're flipping or tuning the channel or anyway. Please don't go anywhere. Stay with us because this might be the exact thing that you need to hear today.
And if this is your very first time listening, you picked a beautiful moment to join the conversation with us.
Around here at Marriage Experience, we believe marriage is one of God's most beautiful gifts. And when you nurture it with intention, commitment, and the right heart, it becomes something truly, truly wonderful.
Absolutely. You know, we build on God's word. We share practical tools that you can actually use on a Tuesday afternoon, and we leave plenty of room for grace because growth is a journey.
Why do you say Tuesday afternoon?
It's you know, this program runs on Tuesdays, on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
So you can use on Tuesday afternoon.
Thursday or Friday.
Yes.
Absolutely. So take a breath, lean in and open your heart, because our conversation today just might change the way you show up in your marriage this week.
You're listening to the Marriage Experience program with Ayakunle and Bosade Santos.
Now, the past few weeks have seen us explore the idea that instead of trying to improve everything all at once in our marriages throughout the whole year, we can intentionally focus on practicing one attribute of love each season or each quarter. You know, tonight we're going to conclude the discussions by looking at how we run our affairs, how we run our relationships. We will focus on discussions we can have this summer. Remember, we have always made reference to splitting the year into shorter chunks, so we can improve focus and especially accountability as well.
Indeed. So let's ask a question here. What's the difference between being efficient and being kind? You
know, that's an interesting question. I remember the story of a nurse in a hospital once who I think she was under some pressure. Came up and said, well, I'm not here to make anyone happy. I'm here to do a good job. You know, so yes, she might have been very efficient, but perhaps not as kind as she should have been. So I would say efficiency says something like, let's just move this along. Let's just get the job done. You know, efficiency focus more on the outcome. You know, with efficiency, you can be right, but not unkind. You know, you can be clear with what you're saying, but not being curt at what you're saying. You know, you can be direct, but also being dismissive. You know, so we have, you know, the question we may ask ourselves now is, you know, have we ever prioritized speed over softness?
I guess we all do that every time and again, depending on how much pressure that one is under. Whenever we're under pressure, it's like, you know what, I need to get this done right now. And, there's really no time for emotions. There's no time for the sweet nothing, so to speak. And you just want it done now. And so, yeah, I would say that definitely we've prioritized speed over softness.
Yeah, and that just takes me on to reminds me of, when people say things like, "Look, I'm just being honest with you." We can't excuse.
That's an excuse to
Yes,
be
it's not. We can't excuse
unkind.
sharpness.
Yeah.
Just because we're being honest.
Mm.
It's all about. It's not just the content of the message; it's how we put it across as well.
But when we look at kindness, kindness, on the other hand, would be something like let's move this along well. So it's not just moving it along.
Yeah.
Now we have to look at the different dynamics that would make this go well. And it focuses on experience. What is the other person experiencing? How is the other person feeling in the way that I am coming across? And, it doesn't slow progress in any way. Rather, it protects the connection between you and your spouse, or anybody else for that matter. It protects that connection during, as you're moving this situation along. And another practical question that brings up to my mind is, what are small tangible expressions of kindness that we can experience or that we can give in marriage?
Well, there's several, and it's not a time to start taking notes and writing each one, because it all depends on what the situation is at that point in time. But the bottom line is about kindness, also about making yourself not just approachable but likable. That doesn't mean that you go overboard to become a doormat or anything along those lines. A smile.
Absolutely.
Smiles work. Smiles work at all times. You can have an attitude of being open, of your tone, the way you speak, the words you choose, the expressions on your face. We talked about smiles already. Your body language, all these things.
I remember a spouse, someone's spouse, saying to us that whenever he's not feeling, too with it, and his wife just calls him by his name, that even incenses him some more. Rather, he would want her to maybe call him a pet name that would you just bring down the temperature. Yeah.
That's a good tool. To have a pet name that would work. Well, of course, there's nothing absolute in the world, really. But when it comes to human behavior, but to have a pet name where that you use as a pressure relief valve.
Yeah.
to release that pressure, a little bit. And both of you know that name or that term or that way of speaking is something you use to reduce the temperature or reduce the pressure or whatever has built up. So you are both fully aware that once you hear that trigger word or that trigger name or that it's time to start to start cooling down.
You're listening to the Marriage Experience Program with Ayakule and Bosade Santos.
Now, kindness often looks small. It's something like a softer greeting after a long day. And it might sound insignificant, but it is something that is small, appears to be insignificant, but then has very, very far-reaching. It's very heavy when it comes to the gains you have from it. Saying thank you for routine tasks.
I remember what you said to me the other day, that whenever you come back from work, how I come to the door, just to give you a kiss and to welcome you home, that really means a lot to you. But I mean, I'm not even thinking much about it. It's like, okay, well, I haven't seen him all day. I'm seeing him again this evening. after having gone our individual ways, during the day. So I mean, it's just normal for me to do that, So, but it now meant even some more, it meant a lot more to me that it means a lot to you, yeah. So yeah.
And another one is, saying thank you for routine tasks. And that is really important. You've got a routine task, that something, obviously routine, from the word routine, is something you do every single
time,
day.
yeah.
And it's commonplace, it's an expected thing to you do, and so on and so forth. But saying thank you, to it just creates a different environment for that. Or text during the day, or phone call, just thinking of you. And and at that point in time, that could have been a point in time when your spouse is really stressed at work or whatever. It might be in traffic. Well, you don't read text in traffic, but
I think the way that God works is oftentimes when I'd sent you a text during the day to just ask how's it going, or you send me a text to say how's it going, maybe at that point in time, I may be in the middle of trying to figure something out, and my mind is all just so occupied with this thing, but your message comes at such an opportune time that it takes me away. It sort of breaks the monotony of that, trying to work it out, trying to figure it out. And oftentimes it will remind me that, listen, you're trying in your own strength. That's why you're not getting this thing done. And when it comes, it's sort of spurs me to check myself and just ask the Holy Spirit for help, and you've said the same thing as well, that you get my text just maybe when things are just like, I could do with a break right now, Yeah.
Another tool is making a beverage without being asked. It just makes your spouse feel that they're being taken care of. And this is a very important one: defending your spouse in public. Now, I remember being asked this question, and that was, when I was talking about this to her husband, and he said, well, what if what she's saying is not true? How can I defend her? What if she's made a mistake? Not necessarily telling a lie, but what if she's made a mistake? How do do you now expect me to defend her?
There would be a way to, go around about that without embarrassing her,
See, because just like Bossade says, the goal is to avoid the embarrassment. You don't have to say, she says something like, the sky is purple. I said, no, it's actually blue. Now, that would create a very awkward environment. But you have to find a way around it. Yes, you don't accept that mistake forever. You've got to find a way to reduce the tension at that point in time, and then when you're both on your own privately, then you can bring it up. Another one is that gentle correction instead of a public embarrassment, as we're saying.
It would usually come like in the tone that is used to to correct in public, that so that other people don't know that you are either telling your wife off or you're telling your husband off.
And of course, another one is the physical touch, like touching on the shoulder or whilst walking past them at home. Kindness is just ordinary faithfulness, and that's what it is. So what would you say kindness looks like in our home specifically to you?
All the time coffee, without being asked. You would always do the coffee for me without being asked. And you're just, how shall I put it? I think over the years, we've taught each other to just generally be kind to each other. So it's not like there's something extraordinary that you do in terms of showing kindness. It is just what you do. It is just how I experience you. You know, I just experience your kindness. I just experience you thinking out for me, even though you joke about it at times when you do something. So, oh, this is just how I care for you. This is just how I'm always looking out for you. But because you do it all the time anyways, so it's not, it's, for me, it's, there's nothing out of the ordinary that I can now say, oh, this is when you actually show me kindness, because you are always showing me kindness.
And the bottom line from what you've said and what I hear really is kindness must be felt. It's not just an intended action. It's not just saying something like, well, you know, well, I know I'm doing that. I'm doing the right thing. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing the right thing. No, you've got to make sure that it is felt. And without it being felt, then you're really not being kind. It's not about the intention. Like I often say, you know, there's the difference between, obviously, legally between murder and manslaughter, but the result is the same. The person is dead. So it's not just what you do, but it's what the
It's not
effect,
just what you mean.
or what you are meant to have done, but it's the effect on the other person.
Yeah. So can kindness be deliberate even when you don't feel warm?
Can it be deliberate even when you don't feel warm? Yeah, because kindness is not just, especially when you're giving kindness, it's not dependent upon your mood. Or rather, it shouldn't be dependent upon your mood.
And that is what differentiates true kindness from just, you know, going through the motions.
Yeah, it's easy to be kind when you're feeling good.
Yeah,
it's easy to be kind when you're dealing with someone who makes you feel good.
So it's a choice.
It is a choice. It is a choice. It is a choice.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite important because, like we're saying, feelings fluctuate, and you know. But one thing is that when you're committed to something, it's anchoring. And so kindness, you know, is not emotional.
Or shouldn't be emotional.
Shouldn't be,
Yeah.
you know, like it's when you're hot, you know, high on emotions that you can show kindness. But it has to be, like we said, a choice, a covenant behavior. And that's what, because kindness anyway is a fruit of the spirit. So if that is what it is, then it means that it doesn't ebb and flow based on how you're feeling. It's just what you are committed to doing. It's what you are. I mean, when you said I do, that's part of the I do. Meaning, regardless of the time or the season, I will be kind towards you. But that's because that's how God is to us. God doesn't, you know, he's not kind today and then unkind tomorrow. Yeah.
So kindness, as you're saying, really is an action word, and it's a deliberate action word.
Yeah. I mean, so with kindness, we act kind even when we're tired. We speak gently when we're frustrated, and we choose softness before our emotions catch up with us. And kindness can lead feelings instead of waiting for us to feel good or to feel nice, and then act kindly, and all of that it just reframes love from being a reaction, you know, or being reactionary, to being a practice, to being a culture.
Yes. Excellent. So now let's move beyond behavior into transformation. You know, transformation that comes through behavior. So behavior is a precursor to transformation. Now, there's a type of behavior which occurs in everyone to varying degrees, and that is criticism. That's a very important word, criticism. Now, criticism, particularly in marriage, attacks a spouse's character if not put across properly. You know, especially when you make statements like, you're lazy. You know, or
the almighty, you are always.
Yes, you're always doing this. or you never do
Never
that.
do that.
You know, research by a gentleman called John Gottman, an American psychologist, best known for his scientific approach and research on marriage and relationships, shows that criticism often triggers defensiveness and conflict. Criticism, or badly used criticism, starts that, first of all, that defensiveness that then leads on to conflict.
You know, you said badly put criticism, but personally, once it's criticism, then it doesn't really come across as it doesn't come across as positive in any way, you know, because criticism is set out to attack. Or shall we use another word apart from criticism? Maybe feedback.
Yes. Now that's one of the things we're going to be discussing shortly.
Okay.
You know, because the point we want to make here is that one of the best tools for dealing with an attitude or culture of criticism is that of kindness. So even if you want to go down that route, or you even receive criticism, you want to ensure that you deal with criticism by employing that tool of kindness. Criticism escalates, but what kindness does is that it diffuses tension, it releases the pressure. So how does kindness then interrupt the undesirable process of criticism? How can we use kindness to deal with criticism?
You know, like we said, maybe avoid using those
always and never,
those
absolute
hyperboles.
Yes.
You know, and those, like you said, absolutes. Avoid using them. Avoid saying you are always doing this, or you never do this, or you are this. One thing when our kids were growing up was that we made up our minds that we were never going to use negative, we were never going to associate them with any negative behavior. We would say they did something that was negative, but that they are never that thing. You know, so there's a difference between them doing it and between them being it. You know, so that's also a way to say, I mean, there's no way you want to say it. You cannot say you behaved stupid. It's still not going to go down well. So how else can we rephrase stupid if we want to try to say somebody acted stupidly? How else can we say it? You know, maybe describe what they did so that they themselves can even hear it.
And one very important point indeed is, it's not to associate them, but to associate their actions with the word.
Yes, that's
exactly what you're saying. So
and then you don't make them feel like they are the embodiment of what they just did. You separate that thing from who they are.
Yeah.
Because they're not the sum of their mistakes, as they say.
Exactly. So it's not that, there's a big difference between saying you are stupid and, oh, that was a stupid thing to have done. It's not good to use the word stupid anyway, but you understand what I mean.
You're listening to the Marriage Experience Program with Ayakunle and Bosade Santos.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in the attitude. Now, the key difference is how it is expressed, just as we've been saying. The key difference is how it's been expressed and what it targets. Like we just said, instead of saying you always forget, kindness would say something like, I felt stressed when that didn't happen. Can we reset? Or criticism attacks identity, like we've been talking about, and kindness addresses the behavior. So there's a difference between who the person is and what they did. What they did is not who they are. So let me ask this question. Criticism is pretty common in marriages today, but how often does criticism actually produce lasting change?
Very
How
rarely.
often? Yeah.
Very rarely, especially if care hasn't been taken in putting it across. It's not usually a good tool to use anyway, but it's very rarely producing any kind of change at all. Talk less of lasting change, because as we talked about research earlier, it suggests that criticism rarely produces lasting positive change here, especially in close relationships. Kindness produces dignity. Remember the research results by John Gottman we talked about earlier, and how criticism often leads to defensiveness. So how does kindness then disarm this defensiveness? How do we disarm that result from criticism?
Like I always say, wear the other person's shoe. When you reverse roles, how do I want to be addressed if I did that? How do I want them to speak to me if I was in their shoe, if I made that mistake? So speak to them how you would want to be spoken to. Not take out this high and mighty attitude with them. Rather, bear with them. The Bible talks about us bearing with one another. Bear with them. Recognize that anybody could make a mistake. And if anybody could make a mistake, it could be you next time. How do you want to be spoken to? Right? And then do you really want to crush them, or you want to build them up? Those are questions that will temper our words. Are we building up, or are we tearing down? The Bible tells us that our words should be seasoned with salt, full of grace, for the edification of the hearer. And if what we're going to say is not going to edify the other person, then refrain from it. Refrain from it. So defensiveness is usually self-protection, because we're trying to just keep ourselves from
what we perceive
being
as
bruised
something harmful,
or being battered, by somebody. So, and when the tone is harsh, people shield themselves. But when your tone is kind, the shoulders drop, the ears open, they are open to listening, and explanations may either soften or disappear completely. Now, kindness lowers emotional threat levels. And sometimes when couples have an argument, it's really not about the issue. It's really about how it was said. And, it's about how it was said and what was said. So what happens when one spouse chooses kindness first?
First of all, the stage is set for it's a beautiful stage that is set up when you choose kindness first. You get better responses, you get better communication, you get less noise.
Yeah,
things just work better. Atmosphere is better. It's more peaceful. You actually get a lot more done than having a contentious kind of environment.
The Bible talks about a contentious woman is like constant dripping.
Oh man, yes. You
can imagine.
And this is powerful. This is powerful. And one thing is that kindness is actually contagious, because when you show kindness, you get kindness back. But then the question is chicken and egg. Who starts it first? Who's responsible for starting?
Someone just has to start.
Someone has to start.
Yeah.
Is it always the husband? Is it always the wife? Look, someone just has to start. Because kindness starts when one spouse chooses to use a softer tone or use slower words, because the not dragging your words, of course, but the more aggressive you are, and the faster you speak, the more what's the word to use? The more of an affront it looks, it feels like. And you want to have gentle responses as well, because these then tend to de-escalate their arguments, or break negative cycles, or shift the atmosphere from what you have to what you want to achieve, without some big announcement, without some big deal being made out of it.
You know, one thing that's one question rather that one gets asked when discussing the topic of kindness is that is it a form of weakness, or does it require strength? So, you know, I would, to answer that question for myself, I would you know, tend to say that it's pretty straightforward, you know, when you think about it, because when you choose kindness first, it's not as if you're surrendering. It's more even leadership.
Yeah.
It's more
You're not lesser.
You're not exactly, you know, and it's actually leadership, because then you take the reins and you control the direction of the conversation. You control the temperature of the or the how shall I say the climate of the room. So it is actually leadership, and it is strength. And if a couple only focus on tone this season, what do you think might change?
Well, there will of course be fewer escalations, less defensiveness, which we've been talking about, less criticism, maybe faster reconciliation, increased warmth. We talked about communication earlier on, safer communication, and more effective communication. And perhaps, you know, especially when these things happen often, or when they go on for too long, then you have reduced emotional exhaustion. Everything just works out better.
You're listening to the Marriage Experience Program with Ayakunle and Bosade Santos.
So we've been talking about kindness and practice, and you know, and all these lovely things that we want to see. But what practical tools do we have available to us? What, in other words, well, we know the what. The question now is the how.
How, yeah. How. So, I mean, one thing that immediately comes to mind and comes off the conversation we've been having is some, you know, like resetting your tone in terms of you're not raising your voice and you're not using sarcasm. One thing that has actually helped us by not using sarcasm is our understanding that when you use words that you don't mean, you are training your brain, and because those words are actually they're creating neural pathways within your brain, and eventually you will start to confuse your brain. Your brain doesn't know what is truth and what is not true. So that has actually helped us not to use sarcasm when we're speaking to each other, and also no public criticism. Don't criticize your spouse in public. And if your tone should slip, then quickly repair it. Find a way to just mask it and make it not look like you're not make it look like, you know, you're actually reprimanding your spouse.
Yeah, I mean, you can say something like you said, immediate repair. You know, you can say something like, "Oh, that came out sharp. Let me try again." And I'm sorry, let me try again. I mean, so we could also explore daily kindness practices. In other words, we're deliberately scheduling those kindness practices. One intentional affirmation every day, you know, or an hour, or whatever you choose. Or one gentle physical touch. We talked about already. Also, express gratitude. We've talked about these already. Simple, repeated, and transformative. So this summer we can become sharp But love,
I guess because summer is go, 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 then the heat and everyone is out, everybody is, just trying to enjoy the few months of the, especially on this side of the world, the few months of the warmth. So you're sort of like all on the move.
Yes, and just like we started off this program today about the fact that we then have less time to, like Shakespeare says, to stop and what's it again?
Stand and stare.
Stand and stare. But then love chooses to be kind, especially when life is loud, or fast paced. Now, kindness is not extra. Kindness is the climate control of a busy marriage.
I like that. The
climate control.
I like that.
Of a busy marriage.
I like that. So let's summarize. Kind criticism, although I'm not such a fan of that word criticism, because it always comes across to me as negative. So, for the purpose of this conversation, let's just use it. Kind criticism or kind feedback offered with patience and respect can be an act of care that helps us to grow whilst also preserving the dignity of the other person and trust. So let's have a word of prayer here. Father, you are never rushed. You are never harsh. You are patient. You are kind in all your ways. You are the epitome of love. You are love. So as we move through new beginnings and busy days, we see how easily we may lose both. In spring, when momentum builds and expectations rise, we ask, Lord, that you slow us down. Teach us to respond, not react. Where we have pressured one another, help us to grow patience. Where we have hurried growth, remind us that love takes time. And in the summer, when life grows loud and full, guard our kindness, protect our tone, keep tenderness alive in our home. When stress sharpens us, soften us. When efficiency tempts us to be cold, warm us again. And through the truth of 1 Corinthians 13, from your love in us, let patience be our foundation. Let kindness shape our atmosphere. Let our marriage reflect the grace we have received. Make our home a place where love is practiced, not rushed, not reactive, but steady and intentional. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Now, as we come to a close of today's conversation, we want to leave you with something lighter, not heavier. We've been very heavy on criticism. Marriage isn't meant to be a place where love is tested constantly. It's meant to be a place where love is formed. And love gets formed with kindness. When we remember that we are image bearers of a God who is love, everyday moments take on a new meaning. Tone matters. Presence matters. Mercy matters. Kindness matters. Love doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It just needs to be lived. It needs to be patient. It needs to be kind. It needs to be faithful. And it just needs to continue over time. It's not something that comes and goes with seasons, but it's something that should be a permanent fixture.
And that we choose every day.
And we choose every day, permanent fixture in our marriages.
The marriage experience ordained by you alone.
Did you know 1 in 5 people are still waiting for the Bible in their own language? And for millions living in poverty, to buy a Bible is an impossible task. For less than 33 pence a day, you can launch your global mission right where you are and change that. How? By becoming a Share the Bible partner with the Scottish Bible Society. Your generosity will give 2 Bibles every month to people who can't afford one. Visit scottishbiblesociety.org to learn more.
The marriage experience ordained by you alone.
So, It's that time again, our weekly Bible quiz.
Yes, indeed. We're loving this partnership with the Scottish Bible Society.
Here's how it works. One simple Bible question, and
you send us your answer by text or email for a chance to win Love, Death, and Resurrection, courtesy of the Scottish Bible Society.
This is such a powerful book because it tells us the story of Jesus and just a sweeping a story of his life, his sacrifice, and the hope that that changed everything.
Right. So are you ready for today's question? Here it is. What was the name of the high priest who put Jesus on trial before sending him to Pilate? What was the name of the high priest who put Jesus on trial before sending him to Pilate?
So to enter, text your answer to 07305 070411 or email info@heartsonglive.co.uk.
Standard rate supply. And don't forget to get the bill payer's permission.
And we wish you all the very best. We can't wait to hear from you. And that's where we'll leave it today. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. Keep choosing love. Keep taking the very next step.
And keep talking, keep praying, keep being kind, keep inviting God into the center of it all.
You've been listening to the Marriage Experience program on Heartsong Live Radio. That's Scotland's first Christian station on DAB Digital.
So we're here live on Mondays with a replay on Wednesdays if you missed us.
And if it's Monday night where you are, please stay with us. Arise with Eloha comes up at 11 p.m.
And of course, if you're here on a Wednesday, we've got What's on Your Plate with Annette. It's a great lifestyle show which celebrates everyday heroes in their communities.
And if Heartsong Life has blessed you, please consider supporting the station at heartsonglive.co.uk/donate.
Also, email us at mexperience without the E at Lydio Santos, Lydio Santos.com.
Experience, that's experience without the E. First E.
So you can also find us on YouTube at handle is at Mind Experience. Again, experience without the E. And then download the HSL app, the Heartsong Live app, for easy, up-to-date access to the program and have access to other programs as well.
Yeah, so that's today's Marriage Experience program. We wish you a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you again next week. In the meanwhile, stay encouraged. Remember, God is already there. Do have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Join Ayakule and Bosade again next week on the Marriage Experience program as they bring God's truth to help you build your marriage God's way. Till then, remember, marriage is God's idea and it is